Recently, I watched a Netflix documentary hosted by Theroux about the Manosphere, a loose collection of influencers who promise to help young men escape the matrix and get lots of money and girls.
For a small fee.
But while watching the documentary, I noticed an uncanny similarity between red pill Manosphere influencers and the OnlyFans women they both insult and often monetize. What is that similarity? Both of them do not subscribe to the Council of Trent. So if you want to be the opposite of these people, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on all of our great content. And you can help us share the good news of the gospel and help people escape the true matrix, the flesh and the devil, by supporting us at TrentHornPodcast.com. Second, and more importantly, what the Manosphere and OnlyFans women have in common is that they use fantasies to prey on vulnerable young men. OnlyFans women prey on young men who desire not just sex, but sexual intimacy. In a world of nearly unlimited free online explicit material, OnlyFans thrives because users end up in a parasocial, one-sided relationship with these pornographers that create the illusion of an intimate sexual relationship. In fact, about 90% of male users on OnlyFans are married, and so many of them see OnlyFans as an escape from what they consider to be an unfulfilling relationship. In contrast, many of the Manosphere's audience members tend to be unmarried men who see this as an escape or tutorial for navigating an unfulfilling life. In fact, a recent study found that 42% of all young men between the ages of 18 and 29 think, quote, "All in all, I am inclined to think I'm a failure." Although among men who are married with children, only 26% of those men think they're failures. Now, to be fair, many of these young men have legitimate grievances towards society's persistent anti-male bias and today's unique hardships. Getting a job, for example, isn't just about walking up to the factory owner and betting on a firm handshake to seal the deal. Now it's about using AI to code your resume so it will get past AI filters, hoping that a real person will see it. And you're also hoping that person is not a woman in HR with a gender studies minor who wants to fight male privilege, even though women outnumber men in college and they have longer lifespans than men. And then after your resume gets rejected, you start swiping on a dating app where the odds of getting a decent match are almost zero. And so you just doom scroll on the internet to hear people endlessly cry about toxic masculinity while Sabrina Carpenter calls men stupid and routinely kills them in her music videos. As I said, there are legitimate grievances, and in that context, Manosphere influencers are popular, partly because they often just give good common sense advice about how to be in shape or how to be confident. There's nothing wrong with that. But honestly, nothing will ever top the motivation of simply being told, "Just do it!" Thank you, Shia. But on top of that, Manosphere influencers funnel these men into expensive courses that provide the secrets to getting money, good looks, and confidence so they don't have to feel like failures anymore.
If you're watching this and you want to level your life up, you want to be free, send a message to the app below.
But it's all a fantasy. For example, in the documentary, Myron from Fresh and Fit confidently talks about one day being in a polygamous marriage, and his girlfriend is clearly not into the idea.
I don't want to mix things up between you, right? But yeah. But we were talking about in the future that maybe there's a world where you would have more than one wife, right?
She understands that. She knows that could potentially come down in the future.
What do you say about that?
I don't know. I mean, he has said that in the past. I think I'll see when it happens. Like, I don't know how that will work.
Was that okay? By the way, I always feel weird. Like,
no.
It's awkward though.
No.
What did you feel? Felt a little awkward.
No, not at all. No, Angie, like, she's with me on screen.
She's as on board as you are.
On board with what specifically?
You know what? Like just the idea of other ladies.
No, we've had these discussions.
I saw a little bit of pain in her. No, definitely.
No.
Yes.
No.
Definitely.
No.
Yeah, you don't think fine. If I said to her, like, you would have Myron all to yourself, would you rather have that? You don't think she would say, yeah, 100%, of course.
She would say whatever makes him happy.
And shocker, she's no longer with Myron. And when it comes to the secret of making money, these guys just teach men how to exploit women to make corn for them, like Andrew Tate, who taught other men to do the same thing.
So yeah, on corporatate.com, I have my PhD program, and that is PhD is a pimp and hose degree that I'm.
Clever.
And
Clever.
That teaches basically how I got girls, how I met girls, how I got girls to like me, how I got girls to fall in love with me to work on webcam for me. Because that's what I did. That was my MO was find girls, make them love me, and make them work for me. And that's how I got rich.
or they shill investment strategies that entities like the British government have warned about, and as Theroux showed in his documentary, don't pay off.
I looked into his investment group. The broker firms he promoted received terrible reviews.
Don't ever say that I'm a scammer. Don't
HS takes a cut of whatever you put in, even if you lose money. I opened an account and put in £500. I'd once taken £500 and joined HS's investment group, making trades with its advice, hoping to join the ranks of those who'd leveled up. With its help, after 2 months, my money was mostly gone.
And when it isn't practical advice that any decent man could give you, what they sell to boost confidence is just a facade that gets exposed when people try it in real life. Like this kid doing his best Andrew Tate impersonation at his school.
This punishment stuff is going to stop.
You're not going to tell me what I'm going to do and not do?
I am now the alpha.
Bro. Not how this works. I am the teacher.
The alpha takes priority over the teacher. The alpha takes priority over everything. Do you not know how that works?
The teacher is telling the alpha to sit in this seat right now.
And the alpha doesn't have to listen.
What these young men end up buying is not real masculinity, but a straw man that I call cargo cult masculinity. Here's a video of the most famous incel of all time, Elliot Rodger, where he expresses confusion about why women don't like him.
I do everything I can to appear attractive to you. I dress nice. I'm sophisticated. I'm magnificent. I have a nice car, a BMW. Well, it's nicer than 90% of the people at my college. You know, I'm polite. I'm the ultimate gentleman. And yet, you girls, you never give me a chance.
Rodger ended up killing 6 people because he felt the system was rigged against men like him who did everything right and still couldn't get the girl. But men like him don't understand true masculinity. They only understand cargo cult masculinity. Here's what I mean. During World War II, the Allies in the Pacific airdropped supplies on the Melanesian islands, which were also shared with the indigenous population. After the war, the supply drops stopped, but the islanders believed the cargo were gifts from their ancestors or the gods. And if they just imitated cargo-bearing soldiers by building wooden rifles, airship towers, and performing signaling drills, then the precious cargo would return. Of course, they failed to understand that these things weren't the cause of the cargo, but effects associated with the delivery of the cargo. Likewise, men who embrace cargo cult masculinity think that if they just imitate the outward appearances of successful men, or men they idolize like Andrew Tate or Clavicular, things like their nice clothes, cars, their bravado, or hitting their cheekbones with hammers, they will obtain the cargo those men have, i.e. beautiful women. But those outward signs aren't the cause of women's attraction. They are just signs that these men have traits that generate those accessories, traits like intelligence, confidence, and charisma that are the true source of attraction for the women. Trying to attract women with just the outward signs, apart from the inward disposition, is as useful as getting cargo with a straw runway. And to be honest, I get why the shortage of male role models in the church to give these tools to young men, especially the shortage of role models among fathers. In this context, boys will go to the manosphere to try to get these things. Which is a bad idea because, as the documentary shows, people like Andrew Tate, Justin Waller, and Harrison Smith, aka HS Tiki Talkie, and others are the product of absent or abusive fathers. They just end up perpetuating the same cycle, but making a profit in the process. Their approach resembles a pyramid scheme, where a few people at the top become successful only because everyone at the bottom who tries to imitate them fails and just hands over their hard-earned time and money. The money comes in the form of purchasing courses from influencers or just giving them money through things like super chats. And time, which can be as valuable as money, comes through obsessed fans generating ad revenue for these influencers by binge watching them or performing free labor for them by reposting Manosphere clips all over the internet. And just as Manosphere men sell a fantasy to their audience, OnlyFans women sell the same thing. For men, these women sell the illusion of masculine success, an intimate relationship with a beautiful, submissive woman. The fantasy is maintained by things like overseas minimum wage labor responding to the messages sent by these male users. And for women, OnlyFans sells the get-rich-quick scheme, as can be seen in this clip where an OnlyFans creator explains how much she makes to influencer Bobby Altoff.
What do you do on that? I do whatever my supporters want me to do. Pictures, videos, voice notes, messages.
Really?
Yeah.
How much do you make a month?
It depends. Good month, bad month.
On like a horrible month, what would you make?
A horrible month? Probably like 400,000.
Okay, I wish I need to do that.
OnlyFans women are basically drug dealers. For example, drug dealers do this same thing when they get other people in on the game with promises of easy money. But these women don't think about the cost of their very bodies being traded and kept on the internet long after they realize they made a stupid decision that netted, on average, $130 a month. In fact, 0.1% of creators on OnlyFans make 76% of all the revenue. So when you see OnlyFans women bragging about how they purchased mansions from their revenue from the platform, you're right to feel bitter about that. The closest male equivalent I can think of to these corn peddlers are drug dealers. A drug dealer extracts money from a vulnerable person and gives him something that ultimately makes him worse off and possibly ruins his life, even though the drug dealer promises it will make him feel better and that it's worth it. Drug dealers also follow the rule, don't get high on your own supply. These OnlyFans women don't seek other virtual relationships to be satisfied, and they usually don't engage in the promiscuity they cosplay on their channels. For many of them, it's just an act to make money. And the same is true of the Manosphere bros. They say OnlyFans is disgusting to hype up their male audience, but then they turn around and use these same women to make money because it's all an act for them. Here is Theroux calling out Smith for his hypocrisy on this issue, in that he thinks OnlyFans producers like Bonnie Blue are disgusting, but Smith uses those same women to make money for himself.
The interview you did with Bonnie Blue, I thought was
interesting. You saw that?
Yeah, it was interesting.
I just think she's disgusting, bro. I just think she's absolutely repulsive.
You've got 500,000 people on your Telegram, right?
Yeah.
And you're advertising OnlyFans girls on there.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a contradiction there?
No, because I openly say I don't give a and I'm doing it for money.
And that's how OnlyFans women justify what they do. Here's Jasmine Jafar, who I previously debated, saying her kids won't mind that she made corn because they'll have lots of money.
If girls, do you intend to have children? Do you justify kids having to go through shame, trauma, and depression because of their mom's greedy ambition? The two biggest contributors to childhood success are socioeconomic status and maternal education, and my kid's gonna be balling on both fronts, so.
Well, I'm sure that money will be able to pay for lots of therapy once your kids' friends find your content and show it to them. Even if that's 20 years from now, the internet's forever. I mean, we still share memes from 20 years ago. And even though many people use corn, almost everyone agrees it's unseemly and shouldn't be praised, and that isn't changing anytime soon. Smith acts just like Jasmine when Theroux asks him why he just doesn't try being a good person. The answer is because being a good person isn't an easy way to being a rich person.
My kids are going to be very, very happy, very fulfilled. They can do what they want.
You sound a bit like Bonnie Blue.
In what way?
You're saying it doesn't really matter what choices I make because I'm making money and my kids will enjoy a high standard of living. So my choices are irrelevant.
What, me posting a picture with a few girls is the same as getting shagged by 1,000 guys.
It's rationalizing.
Don't compare me to Bonnie.
It's rationalizing. Are you getting triggered?
I'm not getting triggered, but I don't know why you're talking, mate.
I'll add here that Smith brags in the documentary about live streaming a woman performing sodomy on him in a public bathroom. So he only differs from Bonnie Blue in degree, not kind of person. But let's continue.
Why not try and be a good person?
In what respect? What do you mean?
Just uplift people. Don't pander to their worst impulses. Actually encourage them to make the right choices.
It's a good question. If I'd just done good things, I would never have really blown up on social media in the first place.
Our Lord said it best. What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his soul? Also, Smith's response to the documentary hilariously shows why people shouldn't trust anything these guys say, just as they shouldn't trust a stripper who tells a guy he's cute. These people just want your money and they'll say anything to get it.
So many people right now will take everything that I've said in that documentary at face value and not actually have the brain cells to comprehend that maybe I say things and do things for a reaction because it makes me money and allows me to live this lifestyle. Yes, maybe I manage some OF girls or have managed some OF girls. Does that mean I agree in OF and porn and whatever? No, it doesn't. If you had a good opportunity to invest in a McDonald's branch for cheap, would you invest in it? Yes, you would if it was going to make you money. Does that mean that then you agree that the food you're selling there is beneficial for the population? Potentially not, but you're going to do it anyway because of the bread.
Finally, Manosphere gurus and OnlyFans women are photo negatives of each other. Many of the women who defend OnlyFans are radical feminists to the point that they are misanthropists. They hate men and blame the world's problems on men. So if these OnlyFans women can siphon money away from these bad men, then they think that's all the better. Manosphere influencers do the same thing, but make men the perpetual victims instead of women. They blame the world's problems on women and say it's women messing everything up with their promiscuity or their voting patterns, etc., etc. So to give an example, feminists exaggerate how dangerous men are, which leads to women saying dumb stuff, like that they'd feel safer in the woods with a bear than with a man. Likewise, misogynistic red pillers exaggerate dangers associated with women. Like in this clip from the documentary that claims a child might look more like a woman's previous sexual partner than his actual biological father.
Ever wonder why some kids resemble an ex more than their father? This is usually why. The more men a woman has been with, the higher the risk of negative mutations in her future children.
Louis, what do you think?
That video, that was ridiculous. The thing about, oh, you have a kid and it resembles your previous partner, no one thinks that.
Well, there has been scientific data that reflects this when it comes to females.
See, this is what
pair
when
bonding.
they talk about misinformation on the internet, this is what they're talking about.
This is nonsense. Scientists have found male genetic material in women's bodies, but it was from their male unborn children, not from a previous partner's semen. Which makes sense because those children live in the woman's body for 9 months. The study Myron mentions was done on fruit flies, and the study's authors say their conclusions have nothing to do with human biology. What misogynists and feminists get wrong is they think society's main problem is either men or women, when it's both. The problem is sin, and that's a human problem. For example, feminists will say men are just a bunch of abusers, but ignore the fact that 1 in 3 victims of domestic violence are men. Likewise, men will say that women engage in hypergamy and only want to date the best-looking men while using other men, including cheating on them when it suits their needs. Well, I've got a newsflash for you. Everybody, men and women, want to date and marry the most attractive people, including men who will often lie and cheat in order to accomplish that goal. But in reality, most people date and marry those who are similar to them in looks and social status. And you can see this if you get off the internet where algorithms distort our perception of the world and touch grass in a regular public place. If bad men don't prove feminist stereotypes about men are true, then bad women do not prove misogynist or manosphere stereotypes about women are true. All this proves is that men and women exist on a spectrum between striving saints and unapologetic sinners. And the only thing that you and I can control is where we fall on that spectrum. So while doing things to improve one's appearance or attractiveness to women is not a bad thing, it is bad when it becomes your entire identity. A February 2026 document from the ITC, approved by Pope Leo, even spoke of the cult of the body that should shake any looks-maxer. It said, especially in the West, advances in cosmetic surgery, combined with pharmacology, hormonal treatments, substances that enhance emotions or concentration, offer tools that greatly change the relationship with one's own body, and therefore with reality and with others. The result is a widespread cult of the body, which tends towards a frantic search for a perfect figure that is always fit, young, and beautiful. Once modified, often with relentless frenzy, the body becomes a body object in which the person's subject mirrors themselves, creating a relationship in which the person is no longer his or her body, but owns a body, from which arises the search for a borrowed identity. And although manosphere influencers complain about feminism and say they're the answer to feminism, they create feminism. When they say that women's only value comes from their looks, or when they say men always choose a 20-year-old woman over a 50-year-old woman, or when they belittle women like Kirsten Dunst or Pamela Anderson for the crime of getting old and not looking like a college co-ed anymore. You even have people like Andrew Tate saying it wouldn't be a big deal if his son-in-law cheated on his own daughter.
You find out he's hooked up with 3, 4, 5 girls on the side. Are you confronting him?
So I say this, and I've answered this question before, and people find my answer surprising, but I'm going to be very honest with you. My plan for my daughters, and my number one hope for my daughters, if I could plan their lives head to toe, would be for them to, at a relatively young age, meet a man who is older than them, who can take care of them financially and get pregnant and have a family. If my 21-year-old daughter wanted to marry a 48, 50-year-old guy, I'd be very happy with that. I'd be like, good. He's probably settled down a bit. He has enough money to take care of you. You're going to be good. In this scenario, which you've just described, if the man is financially providing for her, if he's offering her provision and protection and she's safe, I would truthfully, from the bottom of my heart, say to her, look, there's no point losing the man who's paying for you, who takes care of you, who will die for you, who protects you, who does all of those jobs as a man because he's running around with a few silly girls. There's no point leaving him. You can confront him, we'll talk to him, but there's no point in destroying your family home over this. That's what I would say. People may think I'm not telling the truth, but I'm telling you that's what I would genuinely say.
First, a 50-year-old guy sounds like a great pick for your 21-year-old daughter because it's easy for a 65-year-old man to be chasing 3 or 4 kids around the house. But honestly, I don't doubt that Tate honestly believes this vision of marriage because it's like other manosphere influencers. It's transactional. It's just about trading sex for money, not fully giving yourself to your spouse in marital love. It's no different than an OnlyFans woman trading virtual sex for money from her followers. Manosphere influencers who promote one-way monogamy, i.e. polygamy, think that men can be in adulterous relationships because sex has no emotional commitment, so it won't threaten their primary relationship. However, their wives and girlfriends can't do the same thing, it's one way, because according to them, women become emotionally committed through sex, but men don't.
Are you saying you're not in a monogamous relationship?
One-sided monogamy, yeah. Women don't want to sleep with other men when they love a man.
One-sided monogamy means what?
It means like, see, here we go. Here we go. Set me up.
But if that's how you view sex, then it either becomes a cheap way to use your wife as a masturbatory tool, since you've robbed sex of emotional meaning, or you're deluding yourself. And of course you'll have feelings for these other women that you're engaging in the marital act with, even though you're not married to them. Just like OnlyFans women, Manosphere men sell a fantasy that the intimacy of sex can be turned on for one person and turned off for another, which is a lie because the body releases bonding hormones like oxytocin during climax, whether you are with your wife or just some woman you're subscribed to online. And as I said, this view of women that is supposed to put feminism in its place creates feminists. Women will see this and say, if men only value women for their 20-year-old bodies and then cheat on them or just leave them when they turn 40 or 50, then women will think, why take the risk of getting married at all? Just be a girl boss who can provide for herself and don't need no man. Likewise, if men buy into the fever dreams of people like Pearl and other red pillars push that women are constantly scheming to take half your stuff in a divorce and run off with Chad, then many men will irrationally avoid marriage, even though statistically, married men are happier than unmarried men. Statistics also show the majority of marriages last a lifetime, and of the minority of men who do get divorced, they are still on average happier than never married men, and they usually end up getting remarried, which wouldn't make sense if marriage were, as people like Pearl decry, a death sentence. Women get sucked into feminism when they think that men don't have their best interests at heart. And men get sucked into the manosphere when they think women don't have their best interests at heart. Both the manosphere and feminism sell cynical hopelessness that turns people into insufferable gym bros and girl bosses who put on a front, acting like they have it all, and so no one can hurt them as a result. But the key to true happiness is realizing you have nothing. Everything we have, both the blessings and the trials, is from God, and He chooses to give that to us or take it away. We become truly happy when we realize life isn't about chasing the blessings, but seeking after God, from whom the blessings and the trials flow. That's why St. Paul could say the following: I have learned, in whatever state I am, to be content. I know how to be abased, and I know how to be abound. In any and all circumstances, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and want. I can do all things in Him who strengthens me. So when a Manosphere bro or an OnlyFans woman repents of their old lifestyle and finds hope through union with Christ, We should rejoice. We should not act like the older brother in the parable of the prodigal son who treats that joy with contempt. Now, we shouldn't rush to make him or her a public face of the church, and we should be realistic about the challenges of marrying someone who is engaged in previous serious sins. But we should still lead with warmth and joy. For more on how to do that, check out my episode on the right and wrong ways to treat OnlyFans converts. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a very blessed day.